Doing a deck list for the Golden Sun Amon Tauromachian today.
I love gold!
Time to play the game. Time to play the game!
What up, everybody? Scuff D here, and today I'm just kind of trying to catch up. I've been busy in real life, had quite a few things going on, kind of distracted me, but we've had a recent balance patch take place that saw an update for the Custodes, and the last few days since that patch I've been playing one of the Custodes in particular to kind of see how it matches up, and wanted to share that deck list with you guys. I'll be honest, we're going to be talking about the balance patch here on Thursday's episode of the Warp Chatter for the podcast. And kind of go into a little bit, some of the pros, some of the cons, because it's not just the Custodes, although that's primarily where the balance patch lies. But there's some winners, and then there's some kind of to be desireds, I think. And I'll kind of get into it here as we break down the deck list. So let's go ahead and let's do it. Let's take a look at the replays. I think before I do the deck list, I want to show you guys one game so you can kind of see how it plays, and then we'll talk about it. So this game here is against a Scravok, which was nice. I felt like this was a breath of fresh air. Scravok's a new warlord. And out the gate, you can kind of see I'm playing two cards that normally I have not played before. Or don't play enough of, I should say. Mortai's Wrath is fantastic in the past in events, but I usually skimp out on it. But Scravok, new warlord. I want to get him when he gets up in the shop. Going to pick that thing up and see how he plays. I think he works actually well with the Night Lord's mission. But Amon's goal, I found, and I think I must have played about 20, 30 games with him following the changes, and I'll be honest, it's not much different. There's a couple cards in here that I'm using differently, or that I'm playing with to kind of see how they work, but I have found, and I think others have found in the community as well, that it doesn't change much of anything. The late game combo that the Custodes work with, I'm drawing a blank on their spear. It was the Paragon Spear, Auric Mortalis, Michaela Coburner. Those guys that really just lay down the one-hit combo at the end. I found those guys still do the work. That's still how you win. Having first strike on your warlord helps you complete that combo, especially in those very close games where you can do 5 health without taking lethal to win the game as opposed to a draw. He made a big mistake keeping that guy alive. Big mistake. And then I've got first strike here, so I don't have to worry about that 6 health. And then I'm just going to push the game in with preternatural skill. I mean, we're only at 7 energy, and the game's mostly sealed up, especially considering the fact that as Night Lords, he doesn't have a whole lot of other options to throw down front line. He's really relying on, can't attack, and I can get by with that. And Kai's going to offer me some stuff. So you got rid of 1, fantastic. I can get rid of this guy. I don't even have Paragon Spear with that Mercy and Forgiveness, so that's a free win for me. And I'll gladly decide to get some health here and throw down some bodies. He's not yet at a spot where he can drop the Raven. He's got 7 energy. He needs 9, so I'm not really worried. Even with that no can't attack. Again, I can throw down a front line, or I can have the jet bikes. He's pushing it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And Kai just really offers options. The big thing with the Custodes in general, you want to have Kais or Jukebox, something to give you options in case you have somebody who's got Sentinel on the board. You're still getting things. The fact that he's fishing, he doesn't have what he needs. Kind of obvious. He knows I've got jet bikes in hand. I've got 4 attack coming from my Warlord. At the very least, game's over. And I don't have to do much. Now, you could say, well, you got the right cards. Did I really? I mean, I didn't even really play with the powerhouse cards. I had Kai that survived. That's great. But let's take a look at the deck. Because, like I said, I found roughly that this plays very similar to how I was playing before. Earlier on, way back when, the last time I played Amon was with Desperate Defense. So it's been a while. I've made some changes. I have some cards in here that are my personal faves, as well as just cards that, like, you're going to always want Hunting Eagles. Why wouldn't you want that? I only have 1 Auric Mortalis. You could put in 2, and I've toyed with putting in 2. I would probably put in 2 for taking out Only in Death. Only in Death is a fantastic change. You're going to get that Telamon Dreadnought in your hand as opposed to in your deck. And with 2 of them, as well as the 2 Dreadnoughts, I mean, technically you could have a game where you're throwing down 4 Telamon Dreadnoughts. That is a lot for your opponent to deal with. The Herculanus Sodality, as well as Diocletan. Diocletan's got a big change because now he's a 5/5 when you put him out as the only Sentinel. That is nice, combined with Immortized Wrath. So the next turn he's dealing 8. You're still drawing a card because of Immortized Wrath, and then you still have a 3 health troop, 5 attack that your opponent has got to deal with on the next turn. Even if you're not using it for that, late game, Diocletan plus Only in Death is a hard removal, and you get a Telamon Dreadnought. Or if the Herculanus Sodality cannot destroy what they're flanking, for 6 energy, you get the same effect. So those cards are in there not just to help deal. Like Herculanus dealing with a turn 1 Jukebox or anything like that is fantastic, but really also to combo with the Only in Death. But like I said, if I took out 1 Only in Death, I feel like a 2nd Auric Mortalis is the way to go. There's not a lot of anti-stealth in here. As a matter of fact, there's very little anti-stealth. It's Auric, it's Censure, that's it. So that's a weak spot. And I think some people could gladly take out the Acetum Terminators. I myself leave them in because once I hit that high end, especially if I've got the Spear, I want some big fat front lines that my opponent has got to spend stuff to deal with. And these are 7/9s. They're not vehicles. They're 7/9s. This is going to be a hard removal target or 2 or 3 cards. And then I'll drop the Telamon Dreadnought. And if they're going to hold out, they're going to take some damage. And just the same, this guy can get pumped by the Immortized Wrath, and now he's a 10 attack. Is it the best choice? It's personal choice. I think that's really what it comes down to. This one is personal choice. You could flex on this. You could easily pull this out. But Amon's ability to stun troops, that is really powerful. And that can help draw out the game for him to set things up where he finally gets to that combo. And that's typically how it plays. But guess what? That's how he was playing before. The only difference, really, I found, is the early game boost by having a Diocletan with Immortized Wrath, or by being able to respond with an Only in Death. Everything else you're seeing here is the same stuff. Aside from Blood Games, and Blood Games is another card I'm playing with because I've got so many Custodes in the deck, right? I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got 13 Custodes in here. For 2 energy, the chance of a Survivor 5 as well as just a free card draw feels like a decent play. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's it. I mean, this thing plays the same. Paragon Spear, Treasure Jet Bikes. Halls of Terra, I used to have the Lex Arcanum. Lex Ultima. And I honestly found that this card, at least for Amon, unnecessary. I had played it one time and it was an accident play and I drew one card. I would much rather refill my energy to play more cards to combo or to lock my position than just drawing a card. If I'm going to draw a card, give me my card draw from Blood Games for 2 energy or from Mortai's Wrath, which is doing something else, and it's not contingent on my opponent's hand. So this is the deck. 18 troops, 18 fat troops. You know, the Artillon veterans, these guys haven't changed, but 6'5" body with Survivor 2, that's a beefy thing. And as you saw that last game, they put down a lot of work. So it's just consistent. Now, there's a couple other games I want to show, so you can kind of see how the game progresses with Amon, especially when he's playing against opponents who've got troops. I also personally liked him, and when I started playing with him, it's like, oh, there's a balance patch for Custodes. A lot of people are going to be playing Custodes. Let's play Amon and see how he fares against his counterparts. So, in that regard, we had a matchup here versus Valdor, and obviously that's just a fantastic starting hand minus the Terminators. You get Spear in opening hand, you don't ditch that. And Mortai's Wrath, as I said, like if I drew a Diocletian, or even just having Hunting Eagles, it's great. Obviously, you could have the Furious Onslaught with, Hunting Eagles, makes for a clear board every game. But that's not what I'm going for. I could squeeze it in. I'd rather squeeze in an Auroch Mortalis. But it's on the list. It's one of those cards that's on the list. So we're starting out slow. He's drawing a little bit. I'm going in. I can deal with that with the bikes. I would rather play Spear on this turn, but I don't want him drawing cards. It's bad enough he's going to be creating cards. I don't want him drawing cards with a reduction. So we're going to have to deal with that. He's going to get something off of Kai, and then I'm going to have to work on stunning Kai. He's got a good start, though. Despite my awesome hand, I can't do much about that start except respond to it. And then he got rid of the Hunting Eagles. So he must not have seen my Spear. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have gotten rid of it. So I'll take that. I will gladly take that because I got Hunting Eagles coming back. That's not an issue for me. And we will go from there. And then the race is on. He's got 3 health up on me. But we both have a Kai on board. And I'm the one with the Spear. So let's see how this fares. And that's where things take an interesting turn. So I don't have the Ephoroy squads in my deck. They got their health buff to 4. Okay. I don't know if that's the best thing. They've got First Strike as a stealth. That's fantastic. But really, I don't know if that's... I'm not sold on this card. Maybe it works in Valdor, especially if you can drop them behind a front line. You're really threatening the whole board. That's fair. But he has locked himself. He's locked himself with his board. I'm still drawing cards. He's not going to be... Even if I got rid of one of these guys, he's not going to be drawing cards for a long time. And I can stun 2 of them. Happily. And really what I'm doing here is buying my time. Instead of stunning 2 of them, though, I'm going to kill 2 of them. Still leave them with that 4/4 on the board. And I'm buying time until I get my Auroch Mortalis, really. And maybe this is one of those things where, like, I could trade out 1 for a 2, or I could trade this out for 1, because this Only in Death could be my second Auroch Mortalis, and I could have responded to that whole board. Especially if you get the counterattack, and then you potentially have 4 or 5 attack if you drop this guy down with the Spear. We'll see. So we're going to drop some heat. You leave any of my Custodes alive, and I have the Mortai's Wrath. I'm going to drop some heat. I left this one in my hand for later for the vets, because I don't see him surviving, and I want to be able to lose him on this next turn, play him down, and then Mortai's Wrath on the following turn for some serious damage. But we're getting into a close game. Right? We're getting into a very close game. He's still got the Kai, which I'm not a fan of. That is aggravating to me, to say the least. And he's got the ability to draw cards, but I'm up 2 health. I've got Spear. I've got troops that are going to be coming. And I really put that, instead of using the lightning blow this turn, I wanted to get rid of that Kai, because I don't want him being able to do like a hard removal. I just don't. I just don't want to do it. And that is the 9 right there. But yeah, if one of these was a Auric Mortalis, probably could have made the game a little bit easier. So that's something to consider. All right, let's get into one more game, and then we'll take a look at some cards that you could use if you... Some options, basically. If you're not liking what you're seeing here, or you don't have all the cards, some options as far as what you can use. All right, once again, I mean, these cards are going to look familiar to you because you're going to see them time and time again, but you usually only need one Trajan or Jet Bikes. When you're playing an opponent who has Survivor, that changes some things. Because your first strike normally is enough to deal with it, but now you need a second card. You need a jet bike, or you need a troop on board to deal with things. So yeah, that takes a little bit of strategy. If I can deal with him and get a 3 attack, or put him where the jet bikes can take care of him, fantastic. I'm not wasting anything. I don't want to put his sacrificed troop within health where it can be sacrificed. And I'm getting to the point where my hand's starting to fill up where I might not have an option to drop the counterattack, but I'm going to try to hold on to it. Censure is really great like early game, especially in some opponents where they're just playing tactics. I played Censure for 0 energy, as well as a Auric Mortalis in the same turn for 8 across the board for 5 damage. That's a pretty good play, which is why I continue to keep it. And it's a guaranteed 3. That's why I continue to keep it in my deck. I know some people don't play with it. Some people do. It's personal preference, but quite frankly, I think it's really strong. Especially as you're seeing how we've already reduced it by 2. And it's going to keep dropping. It's going to keep dropping every turn. I don't like that. I've got to get rid of that hard removal. I might be taking some 4, but the next turn, if things go right, we've got Swoop Hunting Eagles, or we can drop the Vets and have them put some work in there too. Now, the one thing with the Salamanders I'm a little concerned of in this match so far is the Mount Deathfire, which is a fantastic card. Super fantastic, actually. Yeah, let's get rid of that hard removal. Because, bringing back all those troops that I've been getting rid of, and I have to deal with the Psychic, the backlashes and stuff. So Censure would help in that. He drops a bunch of 2 health, 3 health troops. I can Censure them in first strike as needed. And then I'm really thankful that he did that. I don't know why he did, but he did. So we can Mortize Wrath one of these guys. Gotta get rid of him. Gotta get rid of one of these guys. Because I can't take 8 damage, unmolested. And then let's drop some Vets. And play it out. So he's got Survivor. I've got Survivor. The downside is I'm losing cards. He doesn't have the Hammer of Death, Udrikol. So that's good for right now. So this guy's going to live a little bit longer. I like that. Once Kai hits the board, then I'm starting to think, okay, maybe I want to Censure now, because I just don't want him to have options. Right? But I'm going to hold off. I'm going to hold off, and I'm going to drop a big fat fatty. Fatty, fatty, boom, baladdy. That's what we got here. Now, that right there is enough. Even with him taking that out, he's eating 7. That's 7 damage. 7 damage this boy's eating. I mean, it sucks that my 7/7 I can't make into a 9. But now I know that this Mortize Wrath is just going to be for the Hunting Eagles or the Jet Bikes at that point. Some unnecessary flex and gloating, because that's not going to save you. I've got options, my friend. It's just not going to save you. And I will happily, at this point, I mean, if he wants to Udrikol into my 6 attack stuff time and time again, he's going to lose out. Through attrition, that's going to eat him up. I do want to get rid of both of these, though. With just the Hunting Eagles, I could kill one. I want to kill both. I want his board to be clear. So that was the right time to play Censure. That's 3 attack across the board. Again, he's got 24 to 27. If he goes into the Hunting Eagles, he's going to take another 6. And I can drop the Telamon Dreadnought. Like, there's only so much that Vulcan can take. He can take quite a lot. But you got to be smart about it. That's a smart play. You don't want this guy living. But at the same time, you just put down 2 troops. Maybe you should let one of them live. I don't know. That's just my take on it. This guy's safe unless he's got another hard move. And even if he does, I've got enough stuff to be able to health and respond. And just really lean into that hammer. And that's really, I think, he thought he had Manifest Destiny. He's got 10 survivors. Sure, that might be enough in some games. Not in this game, pal. Not in this game. We got enough time here to buy. We got heal. We still don't have the Paragon Spear, which is something I would like to get. And we've got the refill our energy, though. So that's going to give me some combo options late game once I get it. I'm just buying myself some time at the moment. And I'm whittling him down to 3 health so that way I can combo with the jet bikes or with the Tremala support if I want to go into it that way too. And that's his second stun. So with these guys boosted, I'm going to eat some damage. I'm not going to like it. But this is why I save the Mortai's Wrath with the Eagles. And I've got that Halls of Terror to give me my stuff if I need it. Oh, I played it without the Eagles. Oh, okay, well. I guess I figured once he boosted his Captain of Sabius, he was kind of beyond sacrifice triggering. So I'll take 5 damage or even 8 damage. 13 damage! That's not enough, buddy. He's already lethal. Even with his Survivor, he's going to play his boost. It doesn't matter at this point. I've got everything I need here to win. I've got the Trajaner, I've got the Mortai, I've got the Paragon Spear, I've got Tremalis, I've got Halls of Terra. And then I just drew Bakaler. That makes it even better. That's actually gives even more ways to boost it. So we can play the jet bikes, then we can play the halls. Yeah, pape. And then we can drop the Wrath, draw another card, just for grins. Throw down, yep, that's right. There you go. Drop that lethal like it's hot. And that's how you play. And guess what? That's not any different than how the Custodes played 2 weeks ago. Or the day before the patch. It really isn't. The difference is a couple cards in the deck. So, when we take a look at the deck, like I said, this is stuff that some of these cards I've got. Censure for me, Acetum Terminators. Those are personal preference. Blood Games. Halls of Terra, I think, is just a good card to have in general, and I've got 2 only in death. If you don't have all of these cards, or if you don't want all of these cards, some cards that you should consider with Amon specifically. I think some of these cards work better with Nassau, Valdor, or Shapura, depending on what you're going with. But for Amon specifically, you really want to focus on Warlord, Survivor, and combo. So if you're doing more Custodes, you could run a second Blood Games if you wanted to. As I said, I'm not a fan of Epheroy as much. I want my stuff to flank the turn it comes out on. You could drop an Only in Death. Definitely drop an Only in Death for a second Auric Mortalis. If you don't like Censure, at least have 2 Auric Mortalises in there. I was playing with the Calidus Annihilator as well in place of one of these Acetum Terminators. But I wanted to go more with Custodes, less vehicles for both the Blood Games as well as vehicle vulnerability. So I don't play with Calidus anymore. And I don't play with Tribune. This is too slow and clunky, although it's pretty powerful. You could roll with Adsel and Squad. That's some fat stats. A 6/8 that can do a lot of damage. Or you could roll with another one of the Eriton squad, right? That's some decent stats that if your opponent doesn't kill your Warlord, your Amon Warlord is going to get some fat attack as well. So that's not too bad. You could use the Ephoroi as a jam option. Like if you don't have Kai, Zelaine, you're going to want somebody who can create options for you. Now, whether that is a troop like Jubok, or that is a tactic such as, where is it at here? Forbidden Library, giving you chaos tactics, which are usually some damage. When I say Forbidden Library, also the where is it? I want to say it's that space one there. Drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank. It's the card that creates other cards of a set. Maybe it's in a different faction. You want, if you're not run as many Custodes, if you're going to choose very few Custodes, then you want to have more stun and heal removal. Wonders of Tizca or Pi Alpha. As you saw, I didn't have either of those in my deck. It's a vulnerability, especially when you're heavy Custodes. It is a vulnerability, but if you play skillful enough and you wait until the right times to play your Custodes troops, you shouldn't have to worry about it. The important thing is knowing when to play them. You don't just drop Diocletian on turn 2. Even if you've got Immortalized Wrath, you might want to wait a turn. I mean, if you've got 2 Immortalized Wrath, okay, all right, that's a fair blast. But you want to play carefully. You want to play smart. You have the ability to stun troops as well as First Strike to buy you that time to play smart. You could play Remembrancer Order if you wanted to. Maybe Crucial Choice is always a good choice. I specifically left it out of this one because I wanted to try the new Custodes heavy stuff. But it could easily go in there in place of a Kaiser Lane or in place of Blood Games. I'd consider it. Orders from Terra seems like a very good call if you're going less troops. A comboed Orders from Terra with the Halls of Terra. You're taking your orders straight from the Halls of Terra, where basically you pump them up. That's a classic, one turn kill combo with Amon. You get the Paragon Spear, you drop Michaela Coburnus, then you maybe play the Halls of Terra, drop a bike, Orders from Terra. Next thing you know, you've got Amon who's attacking for like 20 attack. So if you really want to go heavy on the tactics, then you're changing your deck quite considerably. But Orders from Terra would be one to include, and then you would probably at that point, if you're not going too many troops, then drop Moritai Wrath, and then drop Only in Death, because at that point you're relying on old stuff. That's the old strategy. That's the same strategy that Amon uses, that he's been using. It's not any different. If you want to play a little different, there's some options. They're not a lot of options, but there's something to it. If you want to play the same Amon deck that's been around, then go play the same Amon deck that's been around. You're going to get the same results. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very Custodes. And, yeah. So that's it. I mean, if there's other cards that you're using with your Amon that you find beneficial, maybe like Khorne's Favor. I could put Khorne's Favor in there. 1 Orders from Terra, 1 Khorne's Favor. I mean, go heavy tactics. Why not? Drop some of the front line. But if you want to play Custodes and have a little bit more themey versus tactic driven, I mean, because I think honestly, I'll say it. I think the tactic driven Custodes 1-turn kill is much more beneficial for Nassau, as he can get precog and do some other longevity stuff, like Apotheosis and all those things. Like, it's much more beneficial for him. But I don't think I think Amon has the benefit of being the anti-Custodes player with his ability to stun troops, as well as having that longevity to give him some more combos. So yeah, so there you go. I mean, right now, and again, as I said, I've changed about 5 or 6 cards. That's about an 80% win rate with Amon. Is it practice? Sure. Guess what? It's still 80% win rate. It's winning the same way. Every win is the same thing. Play it. Play it or don't. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people not liking the Custodes and not playing the Custodes and then complaining. I mean, all right, fine. I'm just saying. I'm venting a little because I've been playing Amon for the last like 3 or 4 days. Had a lot of fun with them, and at the same time, I'm just not getting a different feeling. Like sometimes when you have a balance patch and you're like, wow, this plays differently. I think Shapura, from what I'm seeing and hearing, I think Shapura is going to be a lot different than old Shapura. New deck style, new play style. I'm looking forward to that. But Amon still works, and he still does what he does. And if that's what you like, give it a shot. And if that's not what you like, then go play something that you like. Either which way, have fun. That's it for me, guys. Keep playing Legions. Peace.